In 2013, a man stepped into a small room in Minneapolis, sat down, and closed the door. It was the quietest place on Earth, engineered to absorb 99.99% of all sound. He lasted 45 minutes. When he came out, he described something happening inside his own head that he never expected and never wanted to feel again. The room is real. It's inside a building called Orfield Labs, and it holds a Guinness World Record for the quietest place ever measured, -9.4 decibels. For comparison, a whisper is about 30 decibels. Falling snow is close to zero. This room goes below zero. Sound doesn't just get quiet in there, it gets erased. The walls are built from foot-thick fiberglass wedges, layered over concrete, floating on springs, sealed inside a room within a room within a room. No echo, no hum, no traffic, no wind, no electricity buzzing somewhere in the walls, nothing for sound to bounce off, and nothing left to bounce. You'd think that sounds like relief. Silence, finally. No car alarms, no neighbors, no notifications, just you and nothing else. But here's what nobody expects going in. When every outside sound disappears, your own body doesn't go quiet. It gets louder. Inside that room, people report hearing their own heartbeat. Not faintly, clearly, rhythmically, like a drum in the room with them. They hear their own blood moving through their veins, a high, thin whine that never stops. They hear their joints when they move, their stomach digesting. Their own breathing starts to sound less like breathing and more like something happening to them from the outside. Stephen Orfield, the man who built the chamber, has said that in total silence, your ears start hunting for something to grab onto, and when there's nothing external left, they turn inward. The room doesn't create these sounds. Your body was making them the entire time. You just never had a quiet enough moment to notice. So what killed people's tolerance at 45 minutes? It wasn't the sound of their own bodies. That's uncomfortable, but survivable. The real problem is what happens after that. To understand it, we have to go back further than Orfield Labs, back to 1954, to a psychologist at McGill University named Donald Hebb. Hebb wanted to know what happens to the human mind with nothing to do and nothing to sense. So he built an experiment that, by today's standards, would probably never get approved. He paid university students $20 a day, good money at the time, to lie on a bed in a small room. Their eyes were covered with translucent goggles that let light in but blocked all shapes. Cotton gloves and cardboard cuffs limited what they could feel with their hands. A humming air conditioner masked any outside noise. Their only job was to lie there and do nothing. Most students expected an easy payday, a day of rest. Instead, many of them couldn't make it past 2 or 3 days. Some tapped out within hours. Here's what happened inside their heads. First, boredom, then restlessness, then, according to Hebb's own notes, something stranger. The students started hallucinating, not vague shapes, specific, detailed images, dogs walking in single file, a procession of spectacled elderly women carrying handbags, rows of small robots. One student reported hearing a full choir singing to him in perfect harmony, from a room that was engineered to have no sound in it at all. None of these students were unstable. They were ordinary undergraduates who had signed up to lie down and get paid. The hallucinations weren't a personality flaw. They were the brain doing exactly what it's built to do, just aimed at nothing. Your brain did not evolve to process an absence of input. It evolved to process a flood of it. Constant threats, constant sounds, constant visual movement, all day, every day, for hundreds of thousands of years. The brain's entire architecture assumes there will always be something coming in to interpret. So when the input stops, the machinery doesn't stop with it. It keeps running, and with nothing real to process, it starts manufacturing its own material. Neuroscientists now call this a prediction engine running with no data. Your brain is constantly guessing what it's about to sense, based on what it sensed before. Normally, real input corrects those guesses instantly, thousands of times a second. Take the input away, and the guesses stop getting corrected. They just keep running, uncontested, until they start to feel real. This is where the anechoic chamber and Hebb's isolation room converge on the same conclusion, decades apart. Perception isn't a window looking directly out at the world. It's closer to a simulation, one that your senses are constantly editing in real time. Take away the editor, and the simulation doesn't shut off. It runs on its own, and there's a darker layer underneath that. In the 1950s and 60s, this same research got picked up by people with far less patience for undergraduate comfort. Governments on both sides of the Cold War studied sensory deprivation not to understand the mind, but to break it. Interrogators discovered that removing sound, light, and touch could unravel a person's grip on reality faster than any physical method, and without leaving a mark. A handful of documented cases described subjects developing genuine psychosis within days, not from pain, from nothing. That's the part that should sit uncomfortably with you. Total silence and total darkness, the exact conditions people spend money trying to recreate at meditation retreats and float tanks, are the same conditions that can be weaponized to dismantle a mind, depending only on how long you're left inside them and whether you get to leave. The difference between a peaceful hour in a flotation tank and a documented psychological break isn't the silence itself, it's duration and its control. A person who knows they can open the door in 20 minutes experiences something completely different from a person who doesn't know if the door will ever open again. Which brings us back back to that room in Minneapolis and the 45-minute mark that so many visitors hit without planning to stop. It isn't a strict physical limit. There's no toxin building up, no oxygen running out. The room isn't dangerous in any measurable way. People stop at 45 minutes because that's roughly how long it takes for the discomfort of hearing your own body to curdle into something closer to what Hebb's subjects felt. The internal noise stops being merely strange and starts to feel like company you didn't invite. Some visitors describe a rising unease that has no clear source. Others describe losing track of where their body ends and the silence begins. And here's the detail almost nobody expects. Orfield has said that some of the people who make it the longest, sometimes past an hour, aren't the calmest visitors. They're the ones who stop trying to fight the sound of their own heartbeat and just let it happen. The ones who treat the noise of their own body as data instead of a threat. The chamber doesn't reward toughness. It rewards surrender, which raises an uncomfortable question about the rest of your life. You have never, not once, experienced the sound of your own body without something else covering it. Traffic, conversation, music, the hum of a refrigerator, all of it has been quietly editing your reality since the day you were born, keeping something from you that has been playing the entire time. You are never actually in silence. You are only ever in a slightly quieter version of noise. The room in Minneapolis didn't add anything strange to the human experience. It just finally turned everything else off long enough for you to notice what was underneath it the whole time. Somewhere in that building right now, the door to that room is closed, the walls are absorbing everything they can reach, and inside it, if anyone is sitting there, they are listening to a heartbeat, a hiss of blood, a body they have spent their entire life politely ignoring. 45 minutes. That's how long most people can stand to finally hear themselves.